I'm going to propose that if you were going to build a cigar box guitar, you might consider doing a flying V style thing. The most obvious advantage is just to sit up against the wall on its tail somewhere, because an instrument that's close at hand is going to get played more often than one that's sitting in a case. More than that, it's actually really easy to build. If you have enough skills to mount a guitar neck to a cigar box or build the guitar neck in the first place, I figure you have enough skills to build a flying V. The trick with them is the sides are straight, even on the back, and then there's just tail blocks that receive the sides. The head block, the sides just run along it. So you really kind of need access to a table saw or some way to cut your lumber thin, but other than that, you can do pretty well with just basic hand tools. If you notice the stamp, you'll see that this is actually made from salvaged lumber anyway. When cabinet grade plywood comes in, it comes on runners made out of some really nice mahogany that usually just gets thrown away. You can see that's where the band strap was that holds it at the bottom of the bunk. The top is actually the scrap from a tenor guitar top I was making, so it's just the cutoffs that would have got thrown away otherwise. The wingay that I'm using instead of a binding, just because it was more fun that way. It's actually pretty easy to do a binding, but the wingay I outright bought, and it's fairly expensive too, so that counts against it. You can see anyway that you can make a flying V on a really low budget, because I spent very little money on the actual materials for this thing. I'll admit though, especially with the inlays and the pickup, which is custom made just for this, I do have quite a bit of time in it. One other consideration is the shape of these things, because this is my favorite dulcimer, and one of the main reasons why is because of the shape of this back. It actually puts the body of the instrument in just the right spot when your forearm's resting on it, where the strumming position is. Now the flying V does that too. It locates the strumming spot just in the right place when it's sitting in the crook of your arm. It depends somewhat on the particular layout of your body. I've noticed that people with a big belly, it doesn't line up quite as well. This one's actually set up like a regular tenor right now, CGDA, which means, well, I can't play very well anyway, but I especially can't play that. My method of procrastination for learning how to play guitars was to learn how to build guitars. So I know the one better than the other. So anyway, it plays okay. After this, I've got the video that shows actually making the body. I've got another video that shows making a pair of dulcimers that went with it, and a lot of its construction is mixed in with this thing. Man, that is all out of square. Just square it up, and then we're going to strip off some pieces. So you see the grain runs up and down like that. Now if I take pieces this way, that'll end up with quarter sawn pieces, which is what I want for the back. Look at that. I found a nail in it. I already drilled around it with a plug cutting bit, which is a cheap way to get around them without getting a screw extractor bit. Got to get those things out before I cut the sides, or I'll end up ruining my blades. All I'm going to do is block sand them, and it'll be enough to take a little bit of lumpiness off it, and they'll join right up. cut out the tail blocks on the bandsaw. But if you didn't have anything to do it on, you could actually do it on a chop saw or with a saber saw, or do pointy corners like that, and then all you have to do is meet them up, sand it off so it looks nice, and that's all it takes. So in case you're wondering how I figured the geometry on this, I already did one of these a while back, and I made plans of all the different angles on it so I don't have to figure it out by hand. Now, if you were to do this at home, what you would want to do is take a picture of a flying V guitar or something and reduce it down on Photoshop and probably just print half of it and use that to get all your angles right. That way you can figure out what all your blocks ought to be. And now I notched all these blocks, but they don't have to be. These could actually just come over and be in a point, and then you could cut the ends off and round them over with a belt sander later. The whole thing is though, you have to have a flat enough spot on the inside of the joint to put your clamps on without the pressure shoving it back off, because that's what will happen most of the time. Oh, and the head block here, I'll cut after everything's dry. That way I can make sure to get it kind of square. Linings are about as simple as you can do. So I thought, what if you couldn't or didn't want to do bindings? And the answer is you can still do this. And they're just added right on top of the linings.
Born in a kiss, one night like this, I was calling up your lonely heart. Unbelievable, man. Oh, man, thanks. Unbelievable. Just really, really, really. Oh.
Yeah, if I do a Gretsch style sound hole, the pickup will fill the front edge of the triangle, and it'll keep the actual effective area of the sound hole pretty small. If you do the sound hole overly large, it keeps the thing from compressing right, and you won't get enough volume out of it. So I want something about like that. This is risky, because when you screw up, it really shows. The symmetry of the triangle, I mean, not slipping with the knife, that really shows too. Okay, check this out. This ground wire here goes to this screw, so it grounds the treble side string, and it'll go up to the 0 fret and it'll ground the other 3. Tenor banjo strings. Anyway, thanks for watching.